When I was 17 years old, I began a relationship with a girl that I met through a youth group that I was going to. We were together for about 1.5 years. When she came to me telling me that she was pregnant, at that time I was 18, she was also 16. It was very difficult, especially since that came about after the first time that we had sex. Matter of fact, it was the first time that I did at all. I had no idea what I wanted to do, had no idea how to deal with the situation. I knew that I didn't want to get an abortion. At the same time, I knew that I couldn't properly take care of a baby. I was too young. She was too young. When she got around to eventually telling her mom was livid. Her mom started to hate me at that point. She absolutely required that we go get an abortion. After the abortion, our relationship was extremely strained. I remember having a lot of arguments after that time, and it very quickly became an off and on relationship until finally we broke up and we did not get back together. But I remember that day like it was yesterday, knowing that I had just let my child, get killed. I felt anger, I felt deep sadness, but at the same time I felt relief. And then after the abortion, that relief quickly went away, and it was strictly anger. I went into a small amount of depression, so much to where I started to cut myself, just because the physical pain of dealing with a razor blade to my arm was so much easier to deal with than the emotional pain that I was experiencing at the time. I had prayed a lot. So in some way, maybe I got closer to God, but at the same time, I started to hate him, and I was walking away, even though I was talking to him more than I ever did before. Unfortunately for many guys, the reaction when going through an emotional strain is to duke it out and, you're better than this, you're stronger than this. But unfortunately, when there's such a strong emotional strain as this, it's not something that you can ignore. There came a point where I completely gave my life over to God. Romans 8:28 says, "For all things work for the good for those who know God." For a long time, a very long time, I knew that verse, but I wondered how it can be true. And I wondered, how can the death of my child, my voluntary killing of my child, how can that be something that is good for me? And then I realized that God's ways are not my ways. God's thoughts are not my thoughts. And I started to let God work in me in a way that I've never seen him work before. And he showed me this opening that I can lead in ministry to help guys, other guys who have experienced a child that has been aborted. And I want them to know that there is a God who's so much bigger than their problems, that they're not the only ones who have gone through something like this. So I'm one of the leaders in the men's abortion recovery ministry. We meet once a week. The wonderful thing about a group like this is that we all have something in common. We all have something that we can share together. My family now is fantastic. I've got an awesome wife named Christy, and she has been supporting me in this ministry absolutely from day one. And now we have a phenomenal son, Lucas, who's just over 1 year old. I absolutely love coming home after a hard day's work, and I get to see my awesome wife, and I get to see Lucas, and it just lights my world up, and I couldn't imagine life without them. And because that verse in Romans has touched me the way that it has, that's one thing that I make, that I put in the forefront. I said, look, God does exactly what he says he's going to do. And I'm a living example of exactly how he can use something as traumatic as an abortion towards good.